All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of council for the Township of Malahide on August 14th. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01. We'll begin with O Canada. Please rise.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda. Any additions or changes? Seeing none, may I have a resolution, please?
That the August 14th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved as presented.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Sarna moves. Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Next is disclosure of pecuniary interests. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I have the Chalet Drain Quarter Revision, the Bobbitt Drain Drive 25 Dike Branch, and the Harvest Bowl Memorandum of Understanding.
Thank you. Those are noted. Next is announcements. I don't believe there are any this evening. We'll go to adoption of minutes from the previous meeting. So we have the minutes from our meeting on July 10th. Any errors or omissions in the minutes? Seeing none, we have the resolution.
That the minutes of the regular council meeting held on July 10th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Cerna seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. In the next section, so we have first a Court of Revision meeting. So can we have the resolution to sit as the Court of Revision, please?
That the council of the Township of Malahide does hereby appoint the following members to sit on the Court of Revision for the Chalet Drain: Mayor Dominique Giguère, Councillor Rick Cerna, Councillor Chester Glinsky. That the Court of Revision for the Chalet Drain be called to order at 7:04 p.m. and that Dominique Giguère be appointed chair.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Cerna seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. So this meeting refers to Chalet Drain. It will discuss the engineer report dated June 18th, 2025. And we have George from Spreet Associates to walk us through. If you can give us a brief outline of the nature of the proposed drainage works and the related assessment schedule, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Tonight is quarter revision, so we have gone through consideration for this drain already. So tonight's to deal with the cost distribution of these work. This was assessed in a modified Todgerman case method, which is a pretty regular and typical assessment methodology for municipal drains. It's what the tribunal typically recommends. So there is a bit of benefit to all the properties which receive tile, including the road. There was a little bit of increased size. The drain was made a little bit larger at the road's request. So there's a little bit of increased cost of $1,110, which is assessed purely to the road because it's their request. And if there's any questions or concerns, I would welcome to answer them now.
Thank you. And were there any written comments or objections received? Oh, sorry.
None were received at the township.
Okay, so is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak to this application? No one's online, okay. So I'll open it up to the members of the Court of Revision. So Counselor Cerna, Counselor Glinski, any questions or comments? Counselor Cerna?
Yeah, I believe my neighbor called me up, Bert Brower. Is he part of this drain?
I believe he may be. There is a 584012 Ontario Limited. I believe he may be the owner of that property. I believe there's an anticipated assessment of $187 to that parcel.
Right. It's not a great amount of money, but he showed me today what's all involved, and he is listed as a benefiting landowner, and where the property line is, and for where the drain is, it's very minimal. I think 50 feet. And actually, out of that 50 feet, 25 goes uphill. And I don't know what part of the universe anybody's from, but water does not flow uphill. And the only reason we need his land, and we've walked this before. This is all part of what he wanted to sever. It was either last year or the year before. It's all gully. Okay, and this is part of that 18-acre severance. And the neighboring property, yeah, there's big problems there with drainage. And the only thing we need to do is we need his gully to drain away the water. And it's of no benefit to him, but he still has to pay. And he told me $400 or something. Now I'm hearing 187. Regardless of that, it's of no benefit to him, and he doesn't see why he has to pay. And I don't know why he's not here. He said he would be, but it just seems weird to me for 50 feet to have him pay anything, because actually the municipality needs his land to have somewhere to put the water. So that's all I can say on his behalf. Thank you.
Through the chair,
George, yes, thank
I
you.
would like to respond to that. In this situation, drains are assessed as benefit and outlet. His situation here is he's being charged a benefit, and the benefit to his property is that would have naturally been a gully. We're putting a pipe in there, which has a bit of cost to install a pipe in his property, which provides access to the back side of the gully. Had you not installed a pipe through there, then it would be a gully or an open ditch, right, which would restrict access. So the benefit is having that gully and having a pipe, to make sure that remains dry and doesn't erode over time. So it maintains its access, as continuing to have access as compared to putting a ditch or allowing water to flow over the land and erode into that gully. So that's the benefit. Like I said, his estimated net out of pocket's $187, which I think is probably, in my opinion, fair for what he's receiving. It's ensuring that he's going to have a maintained access to the rear portion of his property, which he doesn't otherwise have. So I don't see a reason that I would recommend adjusting that, but ultimately that's up to you as the court to decide.
For $187, I'm not going to argue about it. And he doesn't need access for that because it's actually 50 feet in from the neighbor's property. So there's no access there for him anyways. So I'm just mentioning it because he asked me to. And that's as far as I'm going to take it. Leave it from there. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Any further comments or questions? Member Glinski? So if there no further discussion, then Court of the Revision members will now consider a resolution to either confirm or to confirm the rates presented by the engineer. Clerk Adams?
That the Court of Revision members for the Chalet Drain do hereby accept the recommendations of drainage engineer, and further does hereby confirm the drainage assessments as outlined in the report of the drainage from the drainage engineer dated June 18th, 2025.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Member Cerna, Member Glinski, all those in favor? And the motion is carried. So we'll now need a resolution to close this meeting of the Court of Revision.
That the Court of Revision relating to the Chalet Drain be adjourned and council meeting reconvene at 7:11 p.m.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Member Cerna moves, Member Glinsky second, all in favor. Motion is carried. Next, we have another meeting for the Court of Revision, so we'll need a resolution to sit as a Court of Revision, please.
That the Council of the Township of Malahide does hereby appoint the following members to sit on the Court of Revision for the Dyke Branch of the Bobbitt Drain: Mayor Dominic Jiguer, Councillor Rick Cerna, Councillor Chester Glinsky. That the Court of Revision for the Dyke Branch of the Bobbitt Drain be called to order at 7:12 p.m. and that Dominic Jiguer be appointed chair.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Councillor Glinsky moves, Councillor Lewis seconds, all those in favor. Motion is carried. So, so we've moved so we've called the meeting to order already. So can we have an overview of this particular application? George, over to you.
Thank you. This specific drain was in support of a development. It was to a condition of severance on the property. So as typically with these, if we don't address other drainage concerns in the area, it's been solely assessed to the requesting or petitioning owner in this situation, who bears the full cost of this project. And as far as I know, there's no concerns regarding the assessments of this report.
Thank you for that. Anyone in attendance that you're aware of? No one online? I'll turn it over to members of the court again. Any questions or comments on this? Not this time. Very well. So we'll now consider a resolution to confirm the rates presented by the engineer. Clerk Adams, please.
That the Court of Revision members for the Dyke Branch of the Bobbitt Drain do hereby accept the recommendations of drainage engineer and further does hereby confirm the drainage assessments as outlined in the report of the drainage engineer dated June 2nd, 2025.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Member Glinsky moves, Member Cerna seconds. All those in favor? And the motion is carried. And now we can have a resolution to close the meeting of this Court of Revision.
That the Court of Revision relating to the Dyke Branch of the Bobbitt Drain be adjourned and the council meeting reconvene at 7:14 p.m.
Mover and seconder. Member Cerna moves, Member Glinsky seconds. All those in favor? That is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Next, we'll move to a public hearing. And may I have a resolution for that, please?
That the Committee of Adjustment for the Township of Malahide be called to order at 7:14 p.m. and that Mayor Dominic Jiguer be appointed chairperson for the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Councilor Wilson moves. Councilor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And this is the Dicarius in the wall, right?
Yeah.
So the purpose of this hearing is to consider an application for minor variance as submitted by Jacob Zacharias and Eva Wall relating to the property known municipally as 51102 Nova Scotia Line. And Mr. Steele, can you provide an overview of the application and any additional comments that were received?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before committee tonight is a minor variance application for a property located at 51102 Nova Scotia Line. The property currently contains an existing contractor's yard business as well as a detached accessory dwelling. The owner is looking to expand their business by adding an additional building to the property and are proposing a reduced interior side yard setback of 1 meter, which would place the building in line with the existing building on the property. No comments been received from agencies or members of the public as prior to this public hearing, and staff have evaluated the application and find that it meets the 4 tests of a minor variance application, being that it maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, is minor in nature and represents appropriate development for the property. And as a result, staff are recommending that the application be approved subject to standard conditions. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take questions from members of the committee.
Thank you. Do we have the applicant or an agent who wants to speak to this application? No one's online, no one's here. So I'll turn it over to committee members. Any questions regarding this application? Seeing none, we can proceed with the resolution, please.
The report number DS 25-32 entitled Minor Variance Application of Jacob Zacharias and Eva Wall, Authorized Agent Michelle Hammond, relating to the property located at Concession 2, Part Lot 21, 51102 Nova Scotia line be received, and that the Township of Malahide Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application number D13 MV0525 to permit an interior side yard of 1 meter, and that the approval shall be subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner applicant obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years from the date of decision to the satisfaction of the chief building official, and that the structure be constructed as per the details shown in the drawings as provided with the application to the satisfaction of the chief building official.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, next we have another public hearing. This time another minor variance, and then we have a resolution to open that meeting. I guess we're still sitting in that committee. Perfect. So the purpose of this hearing is to consider an application for a minor variance as submitted by Brian Michelle Beeman relating to the property known municipally as 3408 Lakeview Road. Mr. Steele, can you provide the overview, please?
Thank you. The subject lands currently is a residential property located in Port Bruce and contains an existing dwelling. Due to some constraints of the property, such as the location of the existing dwelling, irregular shape of the southern lot line, as well as the location of the existing septic system, there are limited areas of the property to construct a new detached garage. And so the owners are proposing a reduced side yard setback of 0.9 meters, whereas the bylaw requires a setback of 1.2 meters. So overall, a reduction of approximately 1 foot. No comments have been received from agencies or the public prior to this public hearing. And staff find that it meets the 4 tests of a minor variance application, being that it meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, is minor in nature, and represents appropriate development for the property. And so staff are recommending that the application be approved, subject to standard conditions. And that concludes the presentation. I'd be happy to questions from members of the committee.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Nope. Anyone else in attendance wishing to speak to this? No? I'll turn it over to committee members. Any questions or comments? No. We'll proceed with the resolution to consider a decision, please.
That report number DS 25-33 entitled Minor Variance Application of Brian and Michelle Beeman relating to the property located at Plan 253, part of Lot 13, 3408 Lakeview Drive be received, and the Township of Malahide Committee of Adjustment Minor Variance Application number MV0625 to permit a reduced side yard setback of 0.9 meters for an accessory structure, and that the approval shall be subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner applicant obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years from the date of decision to the satisfaction of the chief building official, ensuring that the approved variance applies only to the proposed accessory structure as illustrated with the application, and that the structure be constructed as per the details shown in the drawings as provided with the application to the satisfaction of the chief building official.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Glinski seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. And we need to adjourn this meeting of the committee. Go ahead.
That the Committee of Adjustment for the Township of Malahide be adjourned and the council meeting reconvene at 7:21 p.m.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Wilson moves. Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we have a public meeting. And I'd like to call this meeting to order with the resolution, please.
The council adjourns its regular meeting at 7:21 in order to convene in a public meeting under section 3412 of the Planning Act.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Cerna moves, Counselor Lewis seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. And this is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to allow any person an opportunity to make representation with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment relating to the property known municipally as 52543 John Wise Line. Clerk Adams, can you let us know of the notice, the method of notice, and when the notice was given?
The public meeting was advertised in the Amer Express for 2 consecutive weeks. In addition, affected property owners within 120 meters were mailed a notice at minimum 20 days prior to the meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Steele, can you provide an overview, please?
So the owners of the property are seeking or filing a zoning bylaw amendment to allow for a site-specific exception to the current general agricultural A1 zoning. This would allow for a small-scale trucking business to operate as a home occupation. And so the amendment would seek to allow for increased maximum floor area for an accessory building to be able to be used as part of that home occupation business. No comments have been received from members of the public or agencies. And the proposed bylaw would limit the size of the operation to ensure it remains at appropriate scale. And as a result, staff are recommending the application be approved. And that concludes my presentation. Are you have any questions from members of council?
Thank you. Is there anyone attending online
They're here.
or in person? So we have both. And do you wish to speak to the application? Do you want to add anything? Okay.
He's there, but he's not unmuting.
I'm
Oh,
Yeah,
there you are.
yeah, sorry about that. I have nothing else to add either.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, it's always good to confirm. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'll turn it over to members of council. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if there's no further discussion, then please be advised that any person wishing further information regarding the passing of the proposed bylaw amendment should contact the clerk. And for now, we can proceed with the adjournment and the consideration of the planner's report with the following resolutions, please.
That the planning public meeting adjourn at 7:24 PM and council reconvene in its regular meeting in order to continue with its deliberations.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Cerna moves, Counselor Lewis seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried.
That report number DS 25-27 entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application of Abe and Bertha Friesen relating to the property located at Concession 4, part of Lot 30, 52543 John Wise Line be received, and that the zoning bylaw amendment application number D14 Z09-25 be approved for the reasons set out in this report.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Deputy Mayor Whitner seconds. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, and we have one more public meeting this evening, and we'll call this meeting to order with the resolution, please.
The council adjourns its regular meeting at 7:25 PM in order to convene in a public meeting under section 3412 of the Planning Act.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Cerna moves, Counselor Wilson seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. This is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to allow any person an opportunity to make representation with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment relating to the property known municipally as 53358 and 53408 John Wise Line. Clerk Adams, can you let us know of the method of notice and when the notice was given?
The public meeting was advertised in the Amer Express for 2 consecutive weeks on July 30th and August 6th. In addition, affected property owners within 120 meters were mailed a notice at minimum 20 days prior to this meeting.
Thank you. And Mr. Steele, can you provide an overview, please?
This zoning bylaw amendment application has been submitted as a condition of 2 previous severance applications. The purpose of those severance applications was to facilitate a land swap between these two properties in order to resolve a previously existing encroachment, as well as to grant legal road frontage to one of the properties that was previously landlocked. And so the zoning bylaw amendment application would realign the zone boundaries with the new property boundaries, as well as permit reduced lot frontage and reduced lot areas for the two newly created parcels. No comments were received from agencies or the public, and so staff will recommend that the application be approved. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to questions from members of council.
Thank you. Anyone in attendance on this application wishing to speak or add to the application? Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here. Any questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, and if there's no further discussion, please be advised that any person wishing further information regarding the passing of the proposed bylaw amendment should contact the clerk. And for now, we'll proceed with the adjournment of the meeting.
That the planning public meeting adjourn at 7:27 PM and council reconvene in its regular meeting in order to continue with its deliberations.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Cerna moves, Counselor Lewis seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. And now council can consider the planner's report with the resolution, please.
The report number DS 25-31 entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application of West B. Harrell and Amber Mealing B. Harrell relating to the property locating at Concession 5 South Part Lot 35, 53358 and 53408 John Wise Line be received, and that the zoning bylaw amendment application number D14Z10-25 of West B. Harrell and Amber Mealing B. Harrell be approved for the reasons set out in this report.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Glinski moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Steele. Do we have any other reports? I don't think we do this evening, so thank you for being with us. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
You as well.
Thank you, everyone, for being in attendance as well. You're welcome to stay. Yes, that's right. Yes, Counselor Cerna.
Madam Mayor, thank you. I see my ex-door neighbor is still here. If we could just let him know that his problem has been dealt with, he missed it. And if he wants to stay and watch the proceedings with excitement, he's more than welcome, but to let him know that his problem has been dealt with. And sorry, Bert. Yeah, and come and see me tomorrow. And, okay, ginger ale, that's all I drink, you know that. Okay, thanks, Bert.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll proceed with a reduced audience and the rest of the agenda. So next is the approval of business. So that's our consent agenda from previous items from the Committee of the Whole. You read the resolution, please.
This is the hardest one. No. Since.
Sure.
Whereas at its July 10th, 2025 meeting, the Committee of the Whole recommended to Council Resolution A, and be it resolved that Council adopts the above recommendation from the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Wilson moves. Counselor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Maybe we should rearrange the seating. Closer to.
I'm watching Sarah on the screen. There must be stuff down. Just a wait one before. I think I said he used it. Got no mirrors?
We'll proceed. Next on the agenda is new business. And the first item is the recommendations from the Community Grant Committee on the revisions to the grant program. And to provide an overview, we have Manager Tripp. Over to you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, and through you to Council, I'm here to present some of the suggested revisions for the Community Grants Application Form and Policy. On June 4th, the Community Grant Committee met to debrief the 2024 rollout and review whether the policy, funding criteria, and application effectively serve their target groups and align with the township priorities. Based on that review, the committee directed staff to streamline the application, align key policy sections with strategic priorities, and consolidate the founding organization provisions directly into the policy. So what did we change in the application? We put a direct link to the policy for applicant review. We combined eligibility and funding uses into one acknowledgement box to simplify compliance. The terms and conditions were reduced to a single acknowledgement box. We updated the budget checklist for simplicity. And overall, the application went from 3 pages down to 1 without affecting the integrity of the application. With regards to the policy, we did some configuration to the wording to ensure that it was compliant with the Ontario Human Rights Code. We integrated a new section, exemption for founding organizations. So you no longer have to fill out that other form if you're listed as a founding organization there. We clarified process language. Late submissions may be considered only if there are unallocated funds remaining, and sensitive financial details in our recommendations will be carefully worded. So overall, to summarize, we streamlined our application form. We've updated our policy to better align with the township's strategic priorities. And at this time, if there's any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the overview. Any questions or comments from members of council? Good work from the committee. Councillor Leach.
I'd like to thank the committee for streamlining it and making it more user-friendly for those trying to navigate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate also applicants who provided feedback and helpful suggestions so we can continue to improve things. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll consider the resolution, please.
The report number DS 25-34 entitled Community Grant Committee Revisions be received, and that council endorses the implementation of the recommended amendments to the community grants policy and the community grant application form prior to the 2025 intake period.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves. Deputy Mayor Whitner seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night to you as well. Next is the Emergency Services Quarterly Activity Report, Director's Board.
Your worship, it's just a regular quarterly report and not overly riveting in it. It's just I'd like to highlight a couple of things. There's 102 incidents in that quarter. And our fire prevention team responded or didn't respond or participated in 12 community events. So a lot of events for a quarter, and pretty thankful for our team that gets out there in the community and helps out. So our revenue for the quarter is $25,011 from MVC responses and training courses. And in that revenue, we've also hosted a NFPA 1006 rope rescue technician pilot course for the province, and which allowed 5 of our firefighters to train at no cost. So other than that, if anybody's got any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Councillor Lewis.
Through you,
Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor. Sport, maybe just touch on the fire ban that's on. There's been a lot of country fires still going on, I guess, at night that maybe should be, just people should be aware, I guess, if you can mention it.
We had a discussion with our county chiefs today again, how the burn ban is still going on. Limited amount of rain we did receive. It's not enough to shut it off yet. People need to realize that the province is almost in a high zone already. Our zone here is in high, almost to extreme. For mind you might be on John Wise line, and it might be dry enough there or wet enough there. People think it's green enough, but you drive a mile down the road and didn't get any rain. So we're keeping a consistent message through the county. We're going to keep the burn ban on for at least another week and see if we get some more. We're going to review it weekly, and we'll see how the rain. If we get another rain, maybe this week, it'll probably be lifted next week. But for the sake of somebody's campfire or burning a little bit of pile of garbage in the back, we're not going to endanger other people's property. So, and if you've seen the wildfires out there, they can get out of hand pretty quick. So.
Thank you for that reminder, that question. So it will be reviewed weekly, right? Okay. Councillor Leach.
Technical difficulty. Through you, Madam Mayor, I'd like to thank the fire services for going out into the community. I realize it's a big time commitment, but at the same time, it's always good to see those who are working to keep us safe when it's not a crisis situation.
You like picture?
Yes, good point. Good community building and prevention. Other comments or questions? Seeing none, can we have a resolution to receive the report?
The report number F2509 entitled Emergency Services Quarterly Activity Report, April to June be received.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Surna moves, Councillor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, Director Spoor. We'll move to a few reports from our Director of Finance, Director Boylan. The first up is the Q2 financial update, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide a financial update for the second quarter of 2025. The report summarizes year-to-date results, highlights areas for continued monitoring, and provides updates on both operating and capital activities. So based on the information currently available, there are no concerns that would indicate a year-end deficit at this time. I would note, however, that this is based on the best information available at a point in time, and staff will be bringing forward a third quarter financial update to inform budget deliberations. So I can do my best to answer any questions council may have this evening, though depending on the level of detail requested, I may report back on line-by-line specifics, but happy to attempt to answer any questions tonight.
Thank you for that. It's always good to know and to receive an update on how things are tracking compared to what was initially budgeted. So thank you for preparing that. Anything that needs further clarification for this evening? Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, I'm asked to ask the question. Thank you, Mayor, through you to Adam. How's our investments doing? Looks like we're on track to be doing fairly well. So if that's the case, good for you.
They're better than I expected when we started the year. Yeah, for sure. I would say not as good as the last 2 years, but pretty good. Definitely exceeding inflation so far, which is the ultimate goal. That's what provides the value to the taxpayers having that money invested.
Great.
Thank you for that. Any further questions or comments? If not, we'll receive the report, please.
The report number FIN-25-11 entitled Q2 Financial Update be received for information.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Widner moves. Councillor Glinsky seconds. All those in favor? That is carried. Next is the Water Wastewater Master Servicing Plan Contract Award. Mr. Boylan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek Council's authorization to award a contract for the completion of the township's first water and wastewater master servicing plan. So Council did approve a budget of $50,000 for this project back in April in recognition of the need to explore alternative growth strategies from a servicing perspective. So we did issue the RFP over the summer and received 4 proposals. A committee made up of myself, CAO Diaz, and Director Godby evaluated the submissions using a 2-envelope system. We were pleased with the quality of the proposals and felt each did represent a viable candidate for us to consider. That said, we did agree that the submission from JL Richards and Associates Limited demonstrated the best understanding of what the township was looking for in this project and also came in at the overall lowest cost. So on this basis, we are recommending that council award the contract to JL Richards and Associates in the amount of $80,027 before HST and authorize a transfer from the capital reserve to cover the unexpected variance from the original budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? Councillor Glinski.
Madam Mayor, how does this $80,000 throwaway differ from what was conducted several years ago? And at that time, it didn't go anywhere. How does this differ from what we already have on the books somewhere?
That's a very fair question, actually. So in the past, the study we did was specifically on the feasibility of servicing to Springfield, whereas this is looking at more of like a holistic, what are some alternative options potentially to Springfield that we could go as a township to explore our different growth options, right? I know that we see Springfield as a potential long-term goal to service, but we haven't, I think, considered some of the alternatives that could exist in the township. So the idea would be to kind of do like a reiterative process where we look at availability of servicing, and then does that mesh with like what you can do on the planning side, and feed them back and forth until you have some sort of plan that's aligned from both a planning and a infrastructure perspective.
Just as
Follow up.
Just to follow up, is this something that our staff, which I feel is quite capable, would be able to undertake and not cost the township $80,000?
Yeah, so it's a lot of money for sure. I do think it's vital to the strategic direction of the township. We have excellent staff, but we don't have the internal expertise to design the kind of systems that would be contemplated as part of this study. And even if we did have the internal expertise, I'm not sure we would have the time to undertake such a process such as this as well. So I think this is a situation where it does make a lot of sense for us to engage in a third-party consultant. And even beyond that, I think if we were to give you something internally, due to the importance of this initiative, I think you'd want someone to double check it anyway. So I think this makes sense for us on a number of levels.
Thank you. Councillor Cerna.
Yeah, this study that we're talking about or whatever, is it just specific to Springfield, or is it specific to the township in general?
It's to the township in general. It's not specific to Springfield. I think we feel like we know a lot about the potential opportunity that Springfield represents. We'd be looking at potentially different options as well.
Well, yeah, because every time we look to bring water to Springfield, and I don't care who you get to study it and how much it costs, every time the final results come, everybody just jumps back and says, holy crap, $20 million, $30 million, and this, that, and next thing, we can't afford it, and this, that, next thing. So we don't want to be throwing good money after bad. So if we can spend on a consultant and look at development all across the municipality, that's a different story. But if we're going to keep looking at just Springfield, then I say no to that. So there you have it. Thank you.
Yep, definitely not just Springfield. This will be new information council has not received before. I think it will be of value to you.
Deputy Mayor Widner, Councillor Lewis, and CO Diaz.
Okay, thank you, Adam, for that. So it's not necessarily for servicing Springfield. I understand that. And I think that's sort of the problem out there. That's what they think it is. But we do have some big upgrades like OPC and with water and sewage. Someone's got to do the planning for that because that's a huge project if it comes to be, which I think it will. We also got the Port Burwell line that's going to be a big project. And if we want any grant opportunities, I think we have to have these because you're not going to get it without any good backup information. And like Councillor Cerna said, extending services, maybe we can get some new areas going here, maybe some growth stimulated with new water lines or maybe some sewage. And we also got the Elmer Lagoon situation coming up, and we better know where our side of that is. So I presume it's a prerequisite for grant opportunities. If we don't get it, we'll never get any grants, so. And we would have to definitely have grants for these projects, so, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Lewis?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. So we approved it on April 3rd, which is good news. Two questions, I guess. What's the deadline of this? When will we have this back? Is this council going to see the report, or is it going to be our next council that sees the report? And then is this report also going to show maybe like I think with water, the way things are going, I think all of our little hamlets are going to start to have issues. So Mark mentioned the Burwell line going across. Well, I've had more than one person come to me and say, well, they should run that line from Nova Scotia line right through Mount Salem, Summers Corners, right down and service to these hamlets. But I think eventually we're going to have a problem if we don't deal with things that we're not going to want to deal with. Like, everyone has to have water. That's fact of life. But yeah, I'm just those two things curious.
So I'll start in reverse with the second point. One of the things that we really liked about the proposal, the proponent that we selected, was that the proposal wasn't only focused on taking our official plan and trying to figure out how to service from like an infrastructure perspective. They said that they're going to take a look at all of our potential settlement areas, which was something like we don't want to just focus growth necessarily in one area. Like, what's the plan for Copenhagen? What's the plan for wherever, Avon, like wherever we're looking. If you have suggestions, as you just mentioned, I would urge you to send those to staff, and we can get those incorporated as part of the study and pass that on to the consultant. On your first point, the proposal is to provide a council update. I believe it's in June of next year, so it would be this term of council that would see we'd have the consultant come in and do like a final presentation to you.
Mr. Diaz?
Through you, Your Worship, and to echo some of the points of my colleagues here and from members at the table, this is part of the continuation of the story of where we left from that study in Springfield. Of course, study was done and determined that servicing Springfield has a big price tag. The part of the issue is we can keep waiting and saving money for that, but that doesn't move us any further ahead. I think we need to start making plans right now for feasible projects that can move ahead. New industry, perhaps new servicing, and look at that picture. Perhaps it could be bridging that sort of development to Springfield. Perhaps it is looking at servicing the other settlement areas and perhaps looking at some opportunities that where we may have missed. But this is comprehensive, is looking at water and wastewater and looking at ultimately where opportunities may exist and how we can, more importantly, how we can phase that and make it feasible in order for our plans, 5-10 years into the future. So we are prepared for any grants that could come down the line.
Thank you for that. Councillor Wilson?
Through you, Madam Mayor. I'm not sure how much we're going to learn beyond the last reports. We didn't really seem to do a lot with the last reports other than go, yep, can't afford that. The only thing that for spending that kind of money is that if we have the shovel ready project for when any grants come along, because otherwise we can't afford $20 million for pipelines. Like, it's not going to happen. But if we don't have the plan ready, then you don't have the shovel ready plan. And it's a lot of money to spend. Well, 1% of the budget, every 80,000, 1%. So it's a big chunk of change and not quite double what the estimate was. And this is a low one. Everything's getting cheaper. But it's if we don't do it, then if these grants come along, we don't have anything to prove that we're ready. And it's a lot of money to spend to, I think we're going to find out quite a bit of the same info as we did before, but hopefully there's some new info in there and some maybe thinking outside of the box ways of getting it. There's certain amounts of Springfield, like there's the sewage. You can't do intensive building if you are on septic. It just can't happen. So I think our sewer issues are higher up the list than the water issues, in my opinion. But it's the northwest quadrant is where you got sulfur water problems. And if you own land there and want to develop it, you want a pipeline. If it's south and east, the other 3/4 of the village, there's lots of water. So it's how much money do you want to spend on that end of things when there is water, but the sewage, there's no getting around that. That has to leave town. Otherwise, it's too piled up to service it otherwise. The shovel-ready part is the part that is really the key thing. If we're not ready, then we don't get it. So.
Deputy Mayor Widner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And Councillor Wilson's absolutely right. For the length of time I've been on council, we started that years and years and years ago, and I can't tell you how many grants we got because we were ready. Because sometimes they don't give you a lot of time. It's just, you better get it in, you got a month, and if you don't have it, you're not gonna get it. But I don't know if anybody's got an answer to that. My other question is, we've always have a concern with all the sump pump water, we presume, going into our sewage system, which is costing everybody money. And is that part of this study? Will that maybe some avenues be looked at, a way we could alleviate that or not?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor. That is certainly something we could likely get some recommendations on through this process. That would also be something that would be better engaged with Aqua being the operating authority for the wastewater system here. But ultimately, through this process, Aqua will end up, I'm sure, having conversations with JL Richards about all of these things, because for them to give us a firm plan going forward, they're going to need to understand some of the dynamics of our systems as they currently exist. And that, as you mentioned, is definitely an issue that hopefully they can provide a bit of guidance on.
Councilor Glinski.
Madam Mayor, will this report come up with an alternative to the Aylmer Lagoon, or is it just a add-on to the Aylmer Lagoon system? Because that seems to be a hindrance every time we talk about doing something. Our hands are tied behind our back, literally, by the situation at the Aylmer Lagoon. And I was wondering if this would come up with some different way of handling the sewage, like a different lagoon in a different part of the township. Thank you.
Mr. Godby of Borland?
Yeah, I think it has to consider all options that not using the Aylmer Lagoons would be an option. I don't know if it's viable or not, but that's something that JL Richards would look at. But yeah, for the township to meaningfully invest in growth, we need to know that there's going to be sewer capacity available. So that's a critical element of this study.
Well, thank you for that discussion. And yeah, I think bottom line, we're stuck. So right now, we can't unlock any growth. We've done the feasibility study. We found out it was not feasible. So now we have to take a step back, zoom out, look at the full picture of the township and see what are the different options and explore. And that may mean revising our official plan. So initially we start with the official plan. Then we look at, so what's the feasibility of implementing the official plan? Not feasible. So now it could be that let's look at it from an infrastructure perspective, and perhaps though that will lead us to revise our official plan. So, and it's okay to go back and forth between the two, but like right now we're literally stuck. So this is an investment to get unstuck. And so it's expensive, but it takes money to unlock that growth, and growth is good for revenue too. Councillor Wilson.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I think we still have a few hundred worth of people for sewage in Springfield. Like, there's still more on our budget for that. I think I think there's still lots of capacity before we're right against the wall. One of the other problems we have is we want to convince people that it's not going to be a headache to build in Springfield. And that's quite a bit of our problem at the moment, I think, too.
And that's a good point. When I say we're stuck, I don't mean like today, but infrastructure projects are long-term, like we have to think 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So yes, there's still room in that allocation, but we're getting, it won't be too long.
The end of that is coming.
The end of that is coming. So we need to plan for that now, because even the grants and any kind of infrastructure build is before it's actually ready to be turned on is quite a few years ahead. So we need a plan now. Even any kind of grants and even negotiations with different partners, it always come down to the question, but what do you need? So we need to revisit that and have a quick answer to that. This is what we need. Like, okay, so now we can talk, right? So it's a key, and it's an expensive key, but a necessary one. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I think it's important that we do look at the sewage capacity and that kind of thing, because we got 240 lots we have allocated to us, but what happens if they run out of room there? They can shut us off anytime they wanted to. What can we do about it? Nothing. So at least we could have some alternatives and suggestions. And like I said, the police college growth, that's a huge investment. We're gonna look pretty silly if we don't have any answers to give anybody. And with that water line, that's millions and millions of dollars. And if we can get some grants for that and we can help out that situation, and we have to do that, I think. So I don't like spending money either. Don't get me wrong. It's over the budget, but I've been there so many times with the grant thing. If you're not ready, you won't get it. So I'll err on that side of that. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you again for that discussion. Consider a resolution.
The report number FIN-25-16 entitled Water and Wastewater Master Servicing Plan Contract Award be received, and that council award the contract for the development of a water and wastewater master servicing plan to JL Richards and Associates Limited in the amount of $80,027 excluding HST.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Lewis moves. Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, welcome back, everyone, to this unplanned recess. So I just want to reassure that we had technical difficulty, and so we recessed right away, and we have not proceeded any further on the agenda. Nothing else was discussed. So we'll just resume where we left off, which was we were just about to discuss the budget process and the timelines being proposed. And so I'll turn it over to Director Boylan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we're operating under strong mayor power rules now, which have had a slight impact on the budget process. We recently had a mayoral direction issued that directs staff to continue the technical development of the budget with some clarified expectations, including providing a budget timeline by September 18th of this year. So this report really just satisfies that first requirement and incorporates the new strong mayor budgeting rules for council's consideration. So looking at the calendar on page 127 of the agenda, the proposed budget will be released to the public and council on December 16th. That release automatically starts a 30-day clock for council to exercise its new budget amendment powers through a majority vote. So 2 days later on December 18th, staff will present the budget to council, not necessarily for debate or amendments, but just to help focus your review and address any preliminary questions or concerns you may have. And then 3 weeks after that, during the amendment period, we've scheduled a special budget meeting on January 8th. This is really the best chance for council to bring forward any amendments or get into depth in any particular areas of the budget. And then the amendment window then closes on January 15th at a regular council meeting, which serves as the last opportunity for council to amend the budget. So if no amendments are approved, then the budget is deemed to have been passed by that point. If amendments are adopted by council, the mayor then has a 10-day window to issue written vetoes specifically of council's amendments, followed by a 15-day period where council could override any mayoral vetoes with a 2/3 vote. So practically speaking, that override would happen at the February 5th council meeting or at a special meeting as requested by council. And so using this timeline, the earliest the budget could be passed is January 15th, and the latest is February 10th. I'm happy to answer any questions tonight, and if council wishes, we can also amend the budget timeline as necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open it up for questions. Councillor Glinski.
Madam Mayor, would it be possible to get this in hard copy? Because I have it on here, that's fine. But as more things come in, everything slides down and pretty soon this is gone. Whereas if I have it in hard copy, then we can, I can feel better about discussing it maybe in December or January. Please?
Do you mean the actual budget, when the budget draft?
No,
or
maybe.
the calendar. Okay. Yeah, I think we can accommodate that at the next meeting. Make sure everybody has a paper copy of the plan and the timelines.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Any further questions or comments? Okay, we'll consider the resolution, please.
The report FIN 25-17 titled Budget Process and Timeline be received for information, and that council approve the 2026 budget timeline as set out in Appendix B to report FIN 25-17 and direct staff to proceed with the preparation and publication of all notices, documentation, and scheduling required to implement the 2026 budget process.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson moves, Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, we'll move on then to, so thank you, Director Boylan. I think those were all your reports this evening. That takes us to the HVAC upgrade. Director Godby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council. Report PW 2525 is about the HVAC upgrades at our administrative office in downtown Elmer. The long short story of this is in 2024, council may recall that we approved a capital project for the replacement of the HVAC system in this building due to its age and just ongoing maintenance issues. That project with some staffing constraints was delayed, and through that time we had also increased our staffing complement with a couple new positions that have come online, which spurned the 2025 request to do some renovation down in the basement to increase our overall usable office space by about 20%. For additional workstations in the building. So that 2024 HVAC project was temporarily parked. Through the process of doing this basement renovation, we had to have an assessment done of the HVAC system to accommodate the new areas in the building that are going to be brought online. Through that process, it was identified that while we had planned to do a straight up like for like replacement of the HVAC system in that building, that we were going to have to oversize some duct work throughout the building in order to accommodate the new offices, as well as install an HRV system, basically an air recovery system that is now required by code. When the building was originally constructed, one was not installed. As anyone who has a new home may be aware, that it is a code requirement for all new homes. And now due to the need to have this system installed in this building, I am unfortunately here to ask you for an additional $51,000 in order to complete all of this required work. The plan would be that the project would be funded through the capital reserve. We've managed to we're forecasting savings in our administrative office basement renovation project. So that took the need down a slight bit, but we're still here to request $51,000 additional funding in order to complete all this work. So if there are questions, which there may be, I will happily answer.
Mr. Borland said our investments were doing well, right? So, I'll open it up for questions. Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you to Jason. Does this include heating and air conditioning?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor, yes, that is a complete replacement of the HVAC system, heating, air conditioning, and the air recovery system.
We're going with the gas furnaces. Is that presumed that'd be correct?
Yes, that is to replace the existing natural gas units that we have.
Just have a question. They're always talking about these heat recovery system or the new systems with the heat pumps and things like that. I don't know if that would be an opportunity. Maybe there'd be some grants available. I don't know that, but they're really pushing them. I know that. But the heat exchanger, like that's a great thing. There's a lot of people in the building and bringing fresh air every hour or two. That's a great thing. It'll sure improve the quality for everybody in there because there's a lot of people working in there and a lot of stuffy offices. So, but you don't know anything about the heat pumps, whether that would be an option. I don't know. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
Through you, Madam Mayor. We did not explore that. Mainly it was, as we had mentioned, this was really, it started as a like for like replacement and it just kind of grew as the renovation project came in line. So it is something that, we do have time we could explore further to see if a different technology or some of these newer technologies might also be a fit. Either way, we're going to require the air exchange system. So that is the biggest part of this this request. That and the increased ductwork. That regardless of the heat source or cooling source that we use, it's more the internals that we're looking for at this. But we will definitely look into that, especially now with our new manager of facilities and contract administration. It'll be something I can get him to dig into and see what we find.
Any further comments or questions? Resolution?
That report number PW 25-25 entitled HVAC Upgrade Administrative Office be received, and the council authorized staff to proceed with necessary procurement for the upgrade of HVAC systems in the administrative office.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Lewis moves, Councilor Glinsky seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we have a couple of bylaws that were considered earlier, so one resolution, please.
The following bylaws be now read a first and second time and finally passed. 2541 freeze and rezoning and bylaw 2547 Behavioral rezoning.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Councilor Cerna moves and Councilor Lewis seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. This brings us to a meeting of the Committee of the Whole. We have a couple of items to discuss there. So the resolution, please.
Resolved that we do now move into the Committee of the Whole.
Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Cerna moves, Councilor Wilson seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. The first item for consideration by the committee is the commemorative asset dedication program. So that's something that staff had brought earlier, received lots of feedback from council, the public, and we're ready for another updated version. Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Mayor Jaguar. Yes, so this is the second iteration of the commemorative asset dedication program. We really took the feedback from council and from some members of the community that provided feedback, and I think the first iteration was a bit complicated and was administratively a bit burdensome. So we really focused on simplifying the application, meanwhile keeping in the intent and guidelines and flexibility really to allow this to address anything from trees to benches, and it has a lot of simplicity built into it. Really, there's no ongoing contract or renewals. You just have to pay once. We'll give you a quote for how much it's going to cost for the township to put a new bench, for example. We'll find out the full costing for that. You'll have to just tell us where it's going to go. We'll take a look at it for just really three main things. Is it the location with regard to the use and design considerations? Is there any infrastructure problems? And third, is there any sort of like bylaws or policies that may be conflicting based on the location? That's really it. Staff will review it. If there is something that is going in an area that we think the general public may want to have a say in that case, we will bring it to council and through a 15-day public consultation period where we'll open it up to the public, where anyone can share their thoughts based on an asset going into somewhere that's a bit more public. Other than that, it's a one-time payment. It lasts for the life of the asset. So when the asset reaches its lifespan, let's just say with the example of a bench, this bench eventually deteriorates. That's when we determine that's the end of it. And at that time, the applicant has the opportunity to perhaps get a new bench at that time. It would, depending on the composite wood benches that you get nowadays, I imagine it would last a very long time. So with that, is there any questions from council on this?
Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I know that Councillor Leach, she unfortunately got offline somehow. That's fine, but she has some questions. Have they been addressed or can they be addressed? Did you get that email?
I'll have to take a look here.
Yeah, that'll be, she did well for doing it. I sent her a text, so you're making me.
I think we would have to bring it up.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, do you want me to read off what she says? She's not in favor of supporting this policy. The items that are dedicated may be suggested by individuals or groups that should be determined and placed at the discretion of the township, so the items are functional, meaningful additions to the recreational infrastructure of our community. While I support the program benefits, page 134, do not feel this is commemorative asset dedication program achieves this yet. And it talks about the dedication term and end of life, does not consider donations or dedications of individuals or groups that are no longer available to contact. Example, a service group that has contributed to community but is no longer functioning or individual impactful to the community with no remaining family. In recognition of the value to community under this current program would be removed at the end of an item's functional life when there is no one to speak for it. And the donation becomes assets of the municipality. I do not feel that once the lifetime of the item is over, it should necessarily be discarded. If it continues to be added to the usability and enjoyment of the area park, it should be considered part of the assets of the municipality and to really redevelopment of the space the item is placed in. Much like the park land in lieu, a fee for maintenance could be applied, eliminating the need for contact when maintenance or vandalism occurs, allowing the needed repairs to proceed without delay. When a monetary donation is given to an organization, the organization makes best decision based on the long-term use of that donation. These donations help beautify our community, making it a friendlier space to be in. While I do not know the total number of requests to donate items that are received on a yearly basis, I don't believe there's a flood of requests. These individuals or groups who make these suggestions and donations are doing so to link the strategic and operational plans outlined on page 135. The way the policy reads now gives me the impression the owner owns the item for the lifetime. The municipality should hold ownership and responsibilities. And you want me to read all this?
So I'm wondering, it's not a time sensitive issue, so we could, and I believe we just received these comments today. So, and you said there's quite a few items. what would be the preference for staff? Do you want to defer the item, give an opportunity to Councillor Leach perhaps to sit down and go over some of the recommendations, and we can bring it back to committee of the whole? Just in case there might be further revisions, I would hesitate to make a recommendation this evening immediately to council when we're not perhaps close to finish. What would be your preference?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Currently, we only know one applicant that's currently looking towards putting a memorial bench. That being said, if there's intent to look into this sort of program, we can let them know that council is currently looking at some questions with regard to the policy before we're ready to pass it. So we can let them know that perhaps we may need a month or so in order to buy some time.
Right, so we would be looking potentially at 2 meetings from now, so maybe about 6 weeks, right? Just looking around the table to see from other members of council, maybe buy ourselves a little bit more time if you think the applicant would be okay with that.
Yes, in general, I'll need some time in order to go through the questions in order to determine what sort of amendments would be needed perhaps for the policy.
Okay, and sometimes it's, and we'll see where that goes. Sometimes it may be worthwhile because this is a fairly new policy to also just implement it. And then as we go, provide some adjustments and use that continuous improvement mindset that, because we may find it's difficult to hit it, perfect right off the bat. But maybe we just defer it for one more round. So that looks reasonable. Do you want to propose a resolution for that?
The report CAO 25-05 entitled Commemorative Asset Dedication Program be received and that consideration of the program be deferred for further review.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor Widner moves. Councillor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, so we'll move to the Avon sidewalk. Director Godby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council. The purpose of this report is to advise council and residents of upcoming construction work occurring in the community of Avon, and to obtain some direction basically for the potential of a new sidewalk being installed. So the short background here is everyone is likely aware that Avon is a intersection of 2 county roads, being Putnam and Avon. And the exterior of the village has generally been fully reconstructed in recent years. In the spring of 2026, the county is anticipating issuing their tender for the reconstruction of the community of Avon south of Thames Center down to the edge of the urban limit. So as part of that work, we've already coordinated some work with the Avon feed mill to get some drainage works incorporated into this project. The purpose of this is to just advise everyone that there is no sidewalk on Malahide land on Avon or on Putnam Road. So with current county or current township policy being that in order to have a sidewalk, you need to petition to have a sidewalk, and that new sidewalks are going to be charged back to the property owners. If the community who has previously expressed a desire for a sidewalk is interested in pursuing something of this nature, that there will be no better time or more affordable time than now. Essentially, if the community were to petition for a sidewalk, that work could be incorporated into the county's road construction plans for the spring of 2026. And the pricing will certainly be much more favorable than having to go back and do it at a later date. So I'm not seeking any direction. This is purely for information, and I wanted to ensure that the message got out to council and to any of our residents who are listening or going to be reading the paper or however they may get their news about county or about township council meetings, that that this work is going to be happening. So if you are interested, now's the time. Please speak up. We can have those conversations and see where it goes. If there are any further questions, I will happily answer.
Thank you. Counselor Glinski and then Counselor Cerna.
Madam Mayor, I thought I read somewhere that, yes, this is a good time to have this done. On the other hand, it would be charged back to the township at a charge of $75,000. So is that local improvement, or is that straight out of the coffers of the township?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Glinski, the current policy in Malahide is that any new sidewalks are to be installed through the local improvement process. Therefore, if the community were to petition for a sidewalk, it would ultimately, those costs would end up being charged back through that local improvement charges process. The reference to $75,000 is just to kind of give some context that is about what it would cost to do that installation if the desire was to go from the existing intersection of Avon and Putnam down to the existing Canada Post community mailbox that is in the village.
Counselor Cerna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Jason. So you're saying the residents would have to pay for the sidewalk themselves, ultimately?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, that is the current policy that is in place here. That was something that was established by the Council of 2015 as the most current direction on how all requests for new sidewalk are being handled in Malahide.
Okay, so how many residents are we talking about that would have to pay this $75,000? How many households are there?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cerna. Our initial look is it's about 20 households.
20 households. That's pretty expensive sidewalk. So I don't know if they would want to do that. I think we'd have to come up with some different solution for them, because I certainly wouldn't want to do. I'd rather walk on gravel than spend that kind of money. That's pretty expensive. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Cerna. And typically, based on our policy, how is that charged? Is it over time? Is it amortized over several years? Like how? And perhaps we don't have the answer this evening.
I don't have the answer off the top of my head. Like in reality, it's whatever council wants. Like if we wanted to do a 10-year debenture, we'd just revise the policy, right? Or if we wanted to just fund this sidewalk through taxes, we'd again amend the policy. Like it's at council's discretion what they want to do with the sidewalk.
Right. But that's another clarification that is the existing policy. There's a precedent set for other sidewalks, how they were funded, but council always have the opportunity to amend policies. So I've got Counselor Wilson and then Deputy Mayor Ordner.
I just had a quick question. Has anyone requested the sidewalks?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I had some conversation with one individual. I'm going to say that was the late 2023, who was seeking to have the sidewalk extended to this community mailbox. At that time, they were advised of this process and given direction to if you can drum up community support for a petition, it would be something that could be looked further into. No further action was taken by that individual. There was another individual who lived closer over to the park that kind of expressed the same concerns about having to walk down here and trying to have a little more walkable. I mean, these are both busy roads. They're both the intersection of county roads. So given that information, they have not chose to pursue anything. That was, I'm going to say both of those were easily over a year ago. And that's why I felt it prudent to bring this topic back up and get the message out there, because with this work coming, like I said, this is going to be the most opportune time if they want to pursue this further.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you to Jason. Just a question. The only ones paying for this would be the ones that border on Putnam Road, south of Avon Drive? Or would be the whole village wouldn't be paying for it, everything south of that, right?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor, I would want to look into that a little more in detail to see exactly how we would want to apportion that or how it would be apportioned out. Ultimately, I believe we would want to be consistent with how the charges for Springfield have been handled, knowing that they went through a very similar type process and have paid for sidewalks in the village here. So ultimately, for consistency across the township, I think it should mirror that process, in which case we would have to dig into that one a little deeper. But if there is interest, if the community comes out with more interest, we can definitely report back with more of the details about how all of this will actually or could actually flow.
Follow up to that if I can. There was a new sidewalk put in Avon, or a reconstructed sidewalk put in a few years ago on the south side of Avon Drive. Who paid for that? Was it the county or?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So the county will almost never pay for a sidewalk because it is deemed to be a local service that is to be handled by the lower tiers. So that sidewalk you'll see on the map, I believe it's on page 148. It's the blue line there on the south side of Avon Drive. I have found it in our records that it was reconstructed in approximately 2005, and that was done with general tax levy dollars. The reason being is that because sometime predating the township, there was originally a sidewalk there. So part of the 2015 direction of council to staff has been to reaffirm that if there is an existing sidewalk that needs to be replaced, that is done by the tax levy. But all new sidewalks are to be initially paid for by those who are requesting it. So into that, the long answer, in 2005, that came out of the general tax levy.
Okay, I agree with what you're saying. Because Lions, I believe, had the same episode happen a few years ago at the corner there and came out of the levy instead of the local improvement because the county put the sidewalk in originally. So, okay, thank you for that.
Counselor Cerna?
Yeah, I think we're beating a dead horse here because I just counted the houses or property on the map that we're provided with, and you're looking at over $5,000 a household. So I don't think you're going to see a petition. I don't even think they want to walk in gravel. They're going to walk on the pavement because I don't know how well traveled that road is to the mailbox, but no way anybody's gonna want to pay that much money for a sidewalk. So I think we might as well just do a motion and move on. Thanks.
Yeah, and as Director Gavi indicated, there's no direction from council, so it's more information. I want to clarify from this, then will staff proactively, in case somebody's not watching this, somebody's not reading the paper, or how would they know that this is being discussed? I could also, because I could see that people would want to know what the options are, what the potential cost is. But also, I think it would be useful for council to know what is the interest, because we can amend our policy and decide that perhaps in moving forward, things will be paid by the tax levy. So how will you find out about the public or the residents' interest?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to you, Madam Mayor. I guess the short answer would be that I would have hoped that maybe this meeting and this presentation to council would gain a bit of traction and maybe inspire somebody to follow up. Alternatively, it would not be overly onerous to do a quick mail out letter to the residents in this area, just advising them. But could even simply just provide a copy of this report, and that way we can be sure that, you know, if somebody wasn't paying attention or wasn't following council proceedings, that at least they were made aware of this work, and that this is an opportunity for them if they are so interested.
And I think the communication should clarify that council is interested in knowing their interest, price aside, like first off, like in terms of their safety concerns and then it's like, it's a two-stage process. Okay, Councillor Cerna?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think you just got the ball rolling yourself by saying that council might consider paying for the sidewalk out of our levy, because once somebody in Springfield hears that and they've paid for it themselves already, then you're going to have somebody coming back on us for that. And it's going to start the ball rolling, because then the next thing you know, people in Luton are going to want a sidewalk. People in Copenhagen are going to want a sidewalk. And Mount Salem's going to want a sidewalk and a light at the intersection. And don't worry, the word's going to get out by tomorrow. So I don't think you have to send a letter to anybody. It's already started. Thank you.
Yep, and I appreciate that. I think our job is to say, here are the options, and we can't predict the future, so that and we can, well,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying
Yeah.
we've got the ball rolling.
Yep. Good, so we'll perhaps, we don't need to invest additional time or resources to get the word out. It sounds like the word will get out. If we don't hear anything, then perhaps our suggestion to staff would be just double check that the residents have heard.
And thank you, Madam Mayor. We will monitor the situation. Like you said, if it is all quiet for some reason, then we can do a little additional follow up. But as Councillor Cerna has indicated, the ball is likely rolling now. So we will likely be reporting back with whatever feedback that we get.
Thank you. Thank you for the discussion. We'll proceed with the resolution.
The report number PW 25-24 entitled Avon Sidewalk be received.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson moved. Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, those were all the items for the Committee of the Whole, so we can adjourn.
Resolved that we do now move out of Committee of the Whole and reconvene the regular council meeting.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Cerna second. All in favor? Motion is carried. And that takes us to correspondence. We have 15 items. Anyone wish to speak to an item? Deputy Mayor Widner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have two. Number two, the Township of Zorra, about the Thames Valley Governance Resolution. All we're hearing about the Thames Valley, it never seems to be getting better. It seems to be getting worse. They're in an awful mess, so it's about time, I guess, this got cleaned up and ran properly. And also number four, the municipality of Bayham Public Sector Employee Harassment Resolution. There isn't any municipality out there that doesn't have harassment aimed at them, and, you know, we have some rules and regulations to curtail that, I think, so, on both sides, protect everyone, so, thank you.
So you wish to support number 4? Any additional comments, or Councillor Wilson?
I'd like to support resolution number 2 as well from Zorra.
Thank you for that. Any further comments? Go ahead.
I have one.
Oh, Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you. Just highlight number 15, the Elgin County OPP occurrences. We received that at our Malahide Community Policing meeting. We've never got information like this before, so I believe it's July and August, or June and July. But it really shows we're not in that bad a shape. Like our thefts aren't all that big. We had no auto thefts, so we're a pretty quiet community. Hopefully we can keep it that way. And that'll, you know, goes a long way, but we have good policing services, and we did do a lot of talking in our meeting about the road safeties, and there's going to be an upcoming, in September, a bit of a lunch, and it's going to be about fraud and fraud prevention, things like that. Actually, I went to the one a year or two ago. It was very informative. There's things you just never heard of, that picking up the phone, you just don't go hello twice, because then they record your voice and then they can reuse that against you for other purposes, things like that. So anybody interested, they can sign up for that. So, but anyway, it was good information if you got time to look at it, and I'm glad we got it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that items 2 and 4 be supported and that the remaining items be received and filed.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson moves, Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. And that brings us to a closed session. The resolution, please.
The council move into closed session at 8:53 p.m. pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act as amended to discuss the following: closed meeting minutes of June 19th and labor relations or employee negotiation matters, compensation market review results, and employment contracts. Section 239(2)(d).
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Cerna seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, we'll come back. We're ready to come out of closed session with the resolution, please.
The council move out of closed session and reconvene at 9:38 p.m.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Cerna moves, Councillor Wilson seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. And the resolution from the closed session discussion?
That the June 19th, 2025 closed meeting minutes be adopted and that staff were given direction in relation to employee compensation market review results and employment contracts, and there is nothing further to report.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Cerna second. All in favor? That is carried. And that brings us to the confirmatory bylaw.
The bylaw number 25-45 being a confirmatory bylaw be given first, second, and third readings and properly signed and sealed.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Wilson moves, Councillor Lewis seconds. All in favor? That is carried. And now for adjournment.
The council adjourned its meeting at 9:39 p.m. to meet again on September 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Deputy Mayor Widner moves. And Councillor Cerna seconds. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the month and summer.